All right. We are live. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. It could even be good evening if you're watching from Italy. I have Glenn with me, and we're going to tag team this lunch and learn so I can focus on, communicating some observations. And Glenn, you're going to be watching the comments, correct?
Yes, I am.
Great. So if you're watching on the live stream, come on, just say hello. It takes a little bit of time, maybe a minute or two, to kind of get everyone starting to engage. So, Glenn, let us see who is joining us on the live stream. Just say hello. Where are you from? Because I really want to share with you some thoughts, some insights that I had as we're getting ready to plan for this upcoming one-day conference on modern retailing called Modern Retailing Simplified. That's coming up on March 17th.
All
And
right,
Glenn, you're going to be doing a couple sessions as well, right?
Yeah, Brett Terrell said hello from beautiful Minnesota.
Whoa.
Someone on LinkedIn said hello. Allie, hello, Allie. Allie's here as well. So we are off and running.
Great. Okay, let's jump in because this video will be up on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Periscope once the session ends. But I would love as much feedback as we possibly can during this session. So if you would be so kind as to engage that way, that would be awesome. We're talking about modern retailing on March 17th, and I have some observations. If a dealer only owns one store and they are trying to create the best retail experience, maybe they're a Toyota store or a Volkswagen store or a Honda store. Well, any particular digital retailing platform that they pick could very well accommodate their needs. But as I'm consulting with dealer groups, the problem is, what do we do if each OEM wants to build their own digital retailing experience? And I started to think about this, and then I had kind of like an aha moment for a few of the players, maybe a dark horse in the ring, maybe an established player, but let's play this out. My concern is that each OEM thinks they know how to build an online e-commerce experience. For those who are watching, let me get your comment on this. How confident are you that automotive manufacturers can build an awesome e-commerce experience, the ability to purchase a car online, new or used, to the degree that laws in the states allow transactions to happen without a wet signature? And please, I understand that there are some legal hurdles that have to be overcome in order to transact vehicles. But answer this question: how confident are you that Honda, Toyota, Ford, Chevrolet will build the best e-commerce experience for consumers? The reason why I bring this up is because I don't think many can. And I'm not picking on anyone. I'm just saying, if you think of outside of automotive for the last, 10, 15, 20 years, there have been hundreds of companies, let's probably even thousands of companies that have helped businesses set up shopping carts, to set up e-commerce systems. But then Shopify came in. And Shopify changed the rules, right? Because we had Amazon, and Amazon obviously has its own simplified, easy experience. We can buy anything in seconds on Amazon. But then Shopify came in. Now, I've been following this stock as an investor, and I've been following this stock as a retail transformation agent. But now Tens of thousands of companies have moved to the Shopify shopping cart system for a reason. The thousands of people who built website designs and shopping cart experiences, for the most part, I would say, in the beginning stages of e-commerce, Shopify comes in and says, no, there's a faster and easier way to do e-commerce. And I don't know if you have seen this, but the mobile experience for Shopify is pretty amazing. Glenn, was anybody able to answer the question about the OEM's ability?
Yes. So we have from one LinkedIn person whose name isn't showing up said 100%. Bill Schomburg says each OEM thinks, quote unquote, not confident in all. Amanda says 50%, but she also then commented they need to leave it to the dealer. We got it figured out.
Right. And so this is where I think today's conversation may get a little heated. I may even
hold on, Brian. This is a good one. Someone who's labeled the Nissan car guy says OEM should be able to build a good e-commerce tool, but the dealer better understand their local markets, which may require a different DR experience. So he's saying it's not the tool, it's what you do with the tool.
Right. And let's just mention for a moment that part of the reason why each manufacturer wants to create their own digital retailing experience is because they believe that the checkout and buying experience is really what's important to be consistent with their brand. And this is where I'm going to have to look right in the camera and say to every OEM, you are not experts at e-commerce. Matter of fact, you should be focused on building the most awesome cars that meet the needs of consumers. The checkout process, why would you think as a manufacturer, and I'm going to even say this, even as a dealer, why would you think that you've figured out the fastest and easiest way to buy a car? Let me continue with my Shopify example. I just went on to Facebook and go through my news feed. I don't know about you, but haven't you been seeing a lot more products being sold on Facebook and now even Twitter? I mean, Twitter is just exploded with solicitations. And I like how Twitter even tells you why this particular post is showing up, because you liked Wine Enthusiast, because you liked Rydell. I'm getting all these wine things in my feed. It's pretty amazing. But let's get back to Shopify. Glenn, this is just my experience, and I haven't asked you this question before, so I want you to respond. If I'm on Facebook and I want to buy something, and let's just say it's not something critical, when that Shopify button comes up, I know when I press that button, it's going to send me a text with a 5-digit code. It's going to pre-fill the form, literally, and in 2 clicks, I'm done. If I'm on Facebook or on any mobile website and I have to fill out all my information, shipping, billing, credit card, if it's not something I really need, I'm not going to do it. Meaning Shopify has figured out how to actually make it easier to buy. What's your experience, Glenn? Is the Shopify experience to you a noticed and appreciated experience?
Yeah, I think any experience where it simplifies the journey, meaning removes obstacles. No one wants to type in their name on a phone. I have fat thumbs, so it's hard to hit the buttons, and I spend more time going backwards or autofill, and so it's frustrating. So, and I don't mind if I do it the first time. So the first time I use the Shopify tool or any of these tools, if I load it up once, all right, I'll struggle through the once. It's the second, the third time, the fourth time. Are you remembering me the next time I'm here, appreciating all the work I did before? That's what I'm looking for.
And here's the point. The reason why tens of thousands of people are using the Shopify experience, it's because it's the transportable Amazon experience. We go into Amazon, Amazon knows everything, knows all our previous addresses. And it just makes it easier. Shopify said, look, we know how to make it easier. And of course, Shopify also provides other tools, logistical tools on the back end to allow e-commerce players to ship and all that. But I want to focus on this. I want to, again, looking at dealers and OEMs. For the OEMs, your job is to make cars. Your job is to price them right, make sure they're reliable, to build great products. When someone decides to buy one of your cars, you should absolutely disconnect your brain for a moment and say, well, let's make it easy for the consumer to do it, something that they're comfortable with, meaning a Shopify experience. Yes, you can make sure that your captive lender is showing if that's your goal. And you can make sure that the products and accessories that are being offered are aligned with what you would want the consumer to have. But why think that it's good for the auto industry to have 30 different checkout experiences? It really makes no sense. And now we get to the dealer. The dealer has been testing digital retailing tools because, they believe that it's going to give the consumer the ability to find out the affordability of the cars. Okay. Make it easier. Okay. I got all that. But what happens if you're a dealer group with 10 different brands? Now you have to support 10 different e-commerce experiences? That doesn't seem right. Matter of fact, dealers themselves are struggling with operational efficiency because of the number of tools that they need to run their business. And this is where the next piece of this gets a little scary. I want you to think about a recent announcement that happened. And Glenn, any other comments before we move to this?
Well, Bill said the OEMs have never retailed vehicles, only built and set MSRP. Why would the OEM want to take over this aspect of the relationship with the franchisee now? And then Brett Terrell said, I've been removed from automotive for more than a year, but have witnessed the fragmented trust in this dealer OEM many times, meaning the relationship. So he also agrees the Shopify and making it easier to interact. Someone else said Frankensites, meaning all of the different things that are going on.
Tools.
And then they said, one of the a tool says one of the benefits for other verticals, Shopify allows you to browse, add to your cart, you check out. But again, the key always is, who is the expert to help take what Shopify is doing and adapting it to automotive? That's my take on it, and making it, and really who should be the one that's controlling the decision of my experience. So to your point is, if this is my customer experience, why can't I go get a tool that's going to help my process versus I have to try and build a process around a tool that may not fit me to begin with?
Okay. And so now we get into, like, a little light bulb went on my head the other day. And just respectfully, I'm going to share something because I think it gets to the heart of why we're having this one-day virtual live stream conference. And those of you who are watching this Lunch and Learn, I have a special proposition for you. If you today buy a ticket to the March 17th event, if you buy it today, just today, you can send your receipt to Dawn Pash, and we're going to give you a second ticket to invite one of your colleagues to attend. So buy a ticket today. You can go to brianpash.com, click on events, and purchase a ticket. And then the email address is dawn.pash@pcgcompanies.com. Glenn will put it in the comments right now. dawn.pash@pcgcompanies.com. So if you buy a ticket today, you'll get a second ticket to give to one of your colleagues. You just have to email Dawn with the name and email address of your colleague. That's all. Now, let's move to something that's a little scarier. Have you noticed this announcement? I don't know if it got under your radar screen or not, but General Motors decided to partner with Tekion. So the CEO of Tekion worked as a direct report to Elon Musk for 4 years. Now, you have to understand, being with Elon Musk as a direct report for 4 years means, you really had a chance to spend a lot of time, maybe be mentored, collaborative with a very, very brilliant man, someone who's changing the rules. And if you ever have been through a Tesla car buying experience, my son bought one. I went with him to the showroom. Everything was done on the screen. It literally took a few moments. I mean, a few moments of time and a $500 deposit. And okay, when the car comes in, we'll let you know. I mean, it couldn't have been any easier. So Tekion decided to reinvent what it means to be the infrastructure platform for car dealers. Now, just work with me for a moment on this. Why did GM pick Tekion for digital retailing of their e-vehicles? Well, if you do a little research on Tekion, cloud-based system, DMS platform, hold on now, work with me, F&I, digital retailing. What if that also included CRM and service tools? Hold on a second. What if somebody from the ground up didn't have to deal with legacy software? Those integrations, spaghetti code from one company to another. The team at Tekion is winning big dealer groups to their platform. And here's the reason why, is because they've clean slated what it means to have a cloud-based DMS platform, watch, with integrated digital retailing, with integrated customer communications, with integrated F&I. Hold on a second. Did GM go with Tekion because they saw the future of operational efficiency to be more like a single platform that runs a dealership? I had a chance to talk to one of the executives of Tekion the other day, and one of the things that I heard about Tekion was, they have an open architecture, they had an API. Some of you may have also heard of another company called PBS, a Canadian company who is building, is in the US now. We'll have a client who's cutting over to them, but they have the DMS. They will soon have the CRM, all clean slate code, clean slate code to rethink modern commerce. But here was the interesting point. When the conversation about APIs come in, it's like, well, Brian, yeah, APIs are good, but the number of integrations will be very little because the future of Tekion will be really a universal software platform to handle all of the dealership's operation. There'll be some things that we don't do, but the core things we'll do. And then it hit me. Could digital retailing truly blow up the whole vendor ecosystem? Stay with me. When you look at Gubagoo's tool or CarNow's tool, or any of the digital retailing tools, Cox Automotive, that tool itself is a mini website. It has the inventory feed, it has the photos, it has all the pricing, payments, incentives, everything. Meaning a digital retailing company, somebody who has a robust digital retailing platform, in effect, has a website. Look at Roadster. Roadster has said, we are not in the website business. Okay, but they are a website. Now, yes, not for the service pages and not for the staff pages, but I want you to think about this for a second. What if digital retailing the companies that really did it well with native integration to the DMS, native integration with communication tools, native integration with F&I. What if these new sets of tools, because they're fresh code, no spaghetti code, using a modern messaging belief system, not of chasing people into BDC with a CRM, what if these companies could completely blow up the vendor ecosystem? What if Tekion eliminates the need for a dealer to have 20 different software partners down to 5 or 6? Is it possible? Here's what I saw with this GM announcement. GM is saying the future is simple. The future isn't spaghetti code. The future is me being able to look at my whole dealer network and order flow and to be able to have seamless integration in a cloud-based platform with a modern retail architecture. When you go to the Tekion website, they list some of the things that they have today. But what happens if they added CRM, and what happens if they added a service drive tool? How many vendors would explode? Listen, if the dealer was shown that operational efficiencies, massive operational efficiencies, could be realized on a Tekion platform. Now, what does this mean? I think this is a wake-up call for Cox Automotive. Cox Automotive has all the tools, but the problem is these have been spaghetti code from purchases, not a unified set, and software that was built from an old way of thinking. CDK, now that the digital division has been moved off to Syncro, has DMS and CRM, but no real innovation in digital retailing that I've seen. What if the digital retailing vendors built in modern messaging, and in effect, their software is a website? Look at Roadster, for example. Look at Roadster's backend. Look how that's evolved. How many people's jobs or careers would be evaporated if the digital retailing vision was like, who has clean access to DMS with clear messaging and access to all the financing tools? This is a wake-up call for website companies. I think there's a number of website companies that will evaporate over the next few years. I think CRM as we know it is absolutely going to change. So it kind of hit me. Is Tekion that kind of stealth player that is literally going to go to the largest dealer groups and say, I could save you millions of dollars in software fees and operational efficiencies that you've never had before? Will Cox finally put together all the pieces for their retailing structure as we know? This is what we want to hear from the Cox team. What about the digital retailing companies? Aren't they morphing effectively into the ability to be a standalone e-commerce website? And with messaging built in, are CRMs as we know it going to drastically change? Modern Retailing Simplified is the topic of our one-day event, but then it hit me. Is Modern Retailing Simplified also hinting at a future that looks more like Tekion than 20 other software companies? Oh, I got my service lane inspection tool. I have my text messaging tool. I have another person who does my email marketing. I have another person who does my direct mail. I have one tool for the trade, and then I have a DR tool, and then I have 2 different finance applications, and then I have my equity mining tool, and then I have my CRM, but my CRM doesn't do video, so I also have this other video tool, and then my website kind of sucks. So I have 3 other pop-up tools on my. It's going to be very interesting to see what this GM website with digital retailing looks like, what the Techion experience is. Just recently, we gave out a number of awards, the AWA Awards, and we did give Roadster an award for the best user interface design. It's very simple. What is left for Roadster to do to really be the Shopify of automotive retail, or CarNow, or Gabagoo, or Cox? Meaning, somebody has to make the case to the OEMs that their approach to retail is more like the Shopify model, and that instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and forcing the franchise networks to put 20 different tools on their websites, what if somebody could convince the OEMs that their experience would create a unified customer experience? No one thought that Shift Digital could go into an OEM and say, hey, you know what? You don't really like all this digital marketing, and you don't understand it, and you don't know how to train, and it's a big pain in your butt. Why don't you let us manage the digital program? And and it won't even cost you anything because we'll get all the vendors to pay us. If you would have told me that was possible, that they could dominate the OEM managed services for digital marketing, I would say, I don't know why they would do it, but they did. What if somebody was able to convince the majority of the OEMs that it's a fool's errand for you trying to be the expert at digital retailing experience? Use our tech to create a unified Shopify experience. So if somebody buys a Chrysler, or if somebody buys a Ford or Chevy, it's fast and easy. You guys work on the cars, right? Meaning Shift Digital came into the OEMs and said, you don't like digital, you know how to train about it, you know it's important, but we'll scale and train. What if somebody says, hey, you're not an expert at e-commerce, you're not an expert at UX design, you're not an expert at simplifying, but we can do that. You focus on distribution and building up the dealers, we'll create the best unified checkout system. But that would be really disruptive. There would be so many companies that get put out of business. I think that's where we're going. I think that it's absolutely ridiculous to not see that in other areas of e-commerce, there's leaders in buying for a reason, because it becomes a unified checkout experience. I do not think 25 different OEMs selling cars in the United States are going to build their own e-commerce system, and it's going to be ripe for someone to say, who cares if the checkout experience is exactly the same on Ford and Chevy? Just make it easy for the consumer. That isn't what makes your brand different. It's the vehicles that makes your brand different. I think this is a wake-up call for all the vendors in the automotive industry. Cox, which has so many of the pieces in place, really needs to see that the Techion example and this announcement by GM is a wake-up call. Do they have a tight, seamless, unified platform across all of the key touch points that actually reduces the dealer's need for software and really creates operational efficiency? That's where Techion's going. You know, what does this mean for CDK, Reynolds? Not sure. But I will tell you this, is that we could be at a tipping point where dealers are tired of having 20 different software platforms to do retailing, and somebody comes in and says, one platform that's modern, efficient, not cost prohibitive, not egregious contracts, not mafioso tactics, and it really works. What would that look like? Glenn, any comments from Mark?
Yeah, there's been a lot, but while I pull up a couple, one of the thoughts that there was a discussion the other day about this. Do you think everyone points to the Tesla experience as you did? We're now with Techion with EV, because they can make that experience simple because they only have 3 products like Tesla, or 3 or 4. So there is no, I want trim up, down, I want this. So there's a million different configurations. So it's easier to say, well, that's the car I want. That's the price I have to pay for that car. And there's no negotiating. So same thing here. They're smart. I think they're building it on EV where there's limited vehicles. But that has always been a conversation of how do you make this seamless, easy to do when you have visually on the website 4 cars that look exactly the same in the photos, and you have 4 different prices, and it's really hard to understand. So that's one. But a lot of people have been,
let me address that.
Yeah.
I think the EV experiment is the perfect place to test a unified, operationally efficient platform.
Mhm.
Okay. And listen, companies like Market Scan and Rusty, and there's others who provide market data. Auto Data is one, for example, that have no problem of knowing the price, incentives, discounts at the trim level by zip code. The real question is, what does the interface look like, as you mentioned, for a consumer to pick the many different options, like on a BMW, I want the cold weather package or whatever. I think those are less of a challenge or a thought bubble. People never thought that digital retailing could have all those. They do now, but the real question is operational efficiency really going to come to front of mind? And the simplification of retail could also mean the simplification of tools and the number of people in the kitchen to make a franchise dealer operate.
Yeah. So, and a couple of the comments, most of them are circling about the tools themselves. The industry's been itching for something new and innovative, Brian Ortega. But a few people, it's interesting, a lot of people are talking about the frustration with consumers in the tool, the ability when people leave, we can't find them, or this idea of maybe they liked a car, but they abandoned their shopping cart. Are you finding ways to circle back and ask them questions to be able to let them know? How do you follow up on them? Someone said, would these technologies eventually become real effective dealership apps where you could do, really work? And then Alan Crutcher agreed. He goes, complex trim levels, complex incentives, no firm selling price make DR strategy difficult to execute.
Yeah. So let's talk about a couple things. If you've ever used a modern shopping cart system, and Shopify is going to be one of them, if you abandon your cart, you've gotten these emails, right? It says, hey, did you forget something, or did you forget to check out? So again, think about that. The reason why that feature even exists is because it gets a lot of sales. There are times, and we've all done it, we're ready to buy something and we get distracted and we forget. And that's actually more common for small ticket items. I'm not sure so much about a car, but the bottom line is there's a whole science about e-commerce and transactional design. And all I'm saying is it would be foolish for 25 OEMs or 25 brands to think that they're the expert at that. And why wouldn't you just say, let's go to an expert? Now, who is going to be able to convince auto dealers that they're the expert? Well, that's where the jump ball comes in. And I think we're going to have massive consolidation in what we call digital retailing companies. Back to Alan's point, without a firm selling price. I think that the one price stores have always had a competitive advantage, except for the brands that require MAP pricing. And I don't think anyone has done a great job of figuring out how to unlock prices easy for consumers because of the OEM mandates. I think at some point the OEMs are going to realize that this, well, you gotta unlock, you gotta give your information to get a price, and you have to double verify with a text code is insulting to a consumer. I think it's insulting to me. It's like there's no other retail experience where you have to double opt in, meaning if you put in your email and phone to unlock, then they text you and say, well, we really didn't believe you. Please put in the code and then we'll show you the price. There's no other retail experience that's as insulting. And I think that having the ability to have a selling price and to make it easy to expose that selling price and personalize that price, we still have to get through that hurdle. I do not, I understand why the franchise, control groups are doing that. But take a look at the success of the Bronco. Take a look at the success of the Hummer. Take a look at the success of the Corvette. And granted, these are high demand, not pedestrian, everyday, workhorse vehicles. But these whole productions sold out basically online. And I think the manufacturers are realizing that creating transactional tools, especially for high demand, is going to be that testing ground. And the question is who's going to be able to deliver that end-to-end experience for the manufacturer and obviously to push out to their franchisees. I know that dealers like to pick their own tools, and I understand why. I'm just saying that every dealer I know realizes they're not operationally efficient because they have 12 or 15 different tools. In fact, they know that they're not doing a great job with customer retention because they have 3 or 4 people doing retention campaigns with no clear reporting on overlap. I mean, it's egregious when you think about how much money dealers are making being as sloppy as they are with their own customer data. I think the future of modern retailing simplified is who's going to help the dealer be more operationally efficient and simplify the retail experience for consumers and simplify the operational experience. And I think that's what's going to happen. A lot of older vendors are going to be displaced because these new vendors are coming in with clean code, with modern messaging infrastructures, modern communication tools, deep integration into data, and who knows who's going to come out on top. But it absolutely hit me the other day. It's modern retailing simplified. Originally, we call that how are we making it easier for the consumer? And then I started to see what's happening with Tekion, and I'm seeing this platform that they're building, and someone can say, well, maybe their CRM isn't awesome. I'm going to tell you one thing. I would rather have deeply integrated tools than best of breed. Remember, I've said this before, deep integration beats best of breed every time. Having a complete customer journey, complete customer record that I can launch a direct mail campaign, an email campaign. I can personalize my website. Let me make one other comment. Team Velocity has probably one of the most innovative website platforms that is customer aware because it was built, and you'll hear from Joe High in the conference, it was built from a DMS or customer database model out. In a perfect world, a Team Velocity website powered with a Tekion backend might be the holy grail. Why? Because when you go to a Team Velocity website, and Glenn mentioned this, fill out a form once, you never have to fill out a form again. When you go back to the website, it knows which cars you have. It knows when they're due for service. You don't have to say, is my car ready for service? It's very, very, people said personalize the website. I mean, this is a completely different approach because it was built from a data-driven approach, not a shopper visit approach. I bring this up because all of these conversations will be happening on March 17th, and I want you to be there. I want you to be part of Modern Retailing Simplified. If you buy a ticket today, and only today, you can send your receipt to dawn.pash@pcgcompanies.com, and Dawn will receive your email, put the name of a colleague you want to attend with their email address and, title, dealership, or company, and we'll give you a second pass. Well, there'll be over 500 automotive professionals engaged in this one-day live stream conference. Our conferences are the best in the business, the highest quality with some amazing speakers. We're going to hear from Asbury Automotive Group and their full-on commitment to ClickLane, which is powered by Gubagoo. We're going to hear from executives at Enterprise Automotive and how their used car sales have been really hitting new records through the CarNow digital retailing tools. I bring this up is because there are people that are reinventing modern retail, and with a few enhancements to their platforms, they wipe out 3 or 4 other technologies that dealers are paying for and that are not deeply integrated.
So Brian, great, great point. But here's the other side. Alex points out that the problem is dealers are inundated with vendors wanting to sell services, making their claims. As he said, I'm exhausted. I'd welcome fewer choices. Alan says, but are there any successful e-commerce retailers outside of auto that don't have a fixed selling price? Right. So it's this combination of today's price, manufacturer. And then lastly, I think John Repeta said, unless dealers are uniform in their price processes, there'll continue to be several disparate software applications. And then lastly, someone said, manufacturers, he goes, this all makes sense, but the manufacturers are currently strangling their dealer base with mandates. Either here's how you price, here's how you do this, here's your website, the only website you're allowed to use, or 3 websites you want, or technologies that you have to do. So right. It is this combination of they're trying to do the best, but a lot of them, and that's why this event is great, but a lot of them are looking around, well, who should I trust? Because everybody tells me they're the ones that are going to make it easy for me, and it just makes it more confusing.
So let me address a few of those things. I absolutely understand the manufacturer's desire for their franchise dealers to have a uniform look and feel. I get that. And I think that it is smart because, well, you look at every Apple store and they look alike. I mean, honestly, dealers have, begrudgingly in many cases, but understand that when you pass a Toyota dealer, a Nissan dealer, you can recognize what dealer it is by the facility design. And I think that the websites should be, a Volvo website should look like a Volvo website, and Ford. Here's what I'm saying. I think that the website experience and that look is fine, but wouldn't it be better if we had a unified checkout platform for the auto industry that we all embraced and that made it easier for the consumer? Because, well, that is what's happening outside of automotive. And if that's any indication, who would have thought that outside of Amazon, there'd be a single, really a dominant e-commerce tool that made it simple without any code, without any real coding, to allow any business owner of any size to have a smart, intuitive checkout system. I mean, wow. Okay. The second thing is pricing is absolutely a friction point for modern retailing. And I am not going to rehash this whole thing about map pricing and that you only show MSRP. And okay, well, people know that typically, unless it's a very high demand car like a G-Wagon, it's going to be sold under MSRP. But you can't tell what it's going to be sold unless you give some information. And all of that, okay, is just a odd piece of thinking within the franchise model. And listen, if dealers had their way, and this is why the map pricing is there, there's always going to be somebody who's going to be selling them at cost and work out volume and hope to build up service or get them in the door and bang them. And I understand how that creates a bad brand experience. Listen, I understand both sides of the coin. All I'm saying is we have to be a student of this industry. Operational efficiency is the last frontier. Digital retailing, listen, could blow up the whole vendor ecosystem because the people that design the best transactional tools with very little effort replace CRM, with very little effort replace desking, right? If you are using, say, CarNow's technology, you could use it in the dealership as a desking tool. What I'm saying is, could digital retailing blow up the vendor infrastructure? Yeah. Is Techion a massive disruptor? Take a look at the GM announcement. Why is this one dealer group I'm consulting with, why are they switching to PBS? Because it is a robust DMS. They will have integrated CRM. They will have integrated service lane. And you know what they see? Hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings and a more integrated data system. I think digital retailing software, what is a dealer website really meant to do? It's not about the about us page or our work in the community. It's, these are the cars we have to sell, and would you like to buy one? Isn't that what digital retailing tools are really doing? And here's the thing, those digital retailing tools can be placed anywhere, really. They can be placed anywhere. They're independent mobile websites in the cloud, if you think about it. And I think that digital retailing in itself and the move towards a more transparent transactional environment is going to bring new companies and the ability to create operational efficiencies.
And I think, to your point, Brian, what the other thing, just talking about, the more that you can put all your data in one place and monitor it, it really then drives to not just efficiencies of greeting the customer right there, but it's really, how do we provide long-term value? How do we retain more of our customers? If I know that they bought cars, when they come in for service, I can celebrate them, or I can, versus we're constantly marketing to get new, and this department over here is a fiefdom and that department's a fiefdom, and they're not talking to each other. So as you're saying, if we can get everything in one place, seeing the data, leveraging the data, passing it from one tool to the other tool, not just efficiency, but retention, I think, goes through the roof, versus allowing our customers to start the whole process again 3 years from now with, okay, who do I go this time? Versus I'm there ahead of you before you even start thinking of looking for a new vehicle.
And let me say one thing as we come to a close here. There's some skeptical people who are going to say, well, why would Techion get it right? And I don't want to just focus on Techion, but they are a DMS platform. They are obviously now a digital retailing platform, CRM platform, F&I platform, maybe not too far from now, a service lane MPI tool. In the past, if you've been in this business as long as I have and even longer, you know that the CRM platforms today have not been built natively, and the ones that were built natively oftentimes were kind of a half-assed effort. So CDK's CRMs were bought, and the latest one, eLeads, bought. Cox bought Dealer.com and then bought VinSolutions and bought. Well, when you try to put all of these code bases together, it's very, very difficult because of what we call spaghetti code. And anybody who's been on the development side knows that the biggest headache in these acquisitions is the integration. It took years, right? It took years for VinSolutions CRM to really be natively communicating with the Cox digital retailing tools. Years. And this is where companies like Techion and some of the new digital retailing players, they don't have that problem. Oh, think of Gubagoo and CarNow as an example. They're a messaging platform, digital retailing platform, desking platform, all talking on the same code base. What would they need to do to displace a whole other group of software classes to be operationally efficient? Interesting. So the Techion announcement with GM was very interesting. Hey, this is our digital retailing platform. This is the whole thing. I was like, oh, hold on. And are they too far advanced that Reynolds and CDK may not be able to catch up with them? I don't know. Cox has a massive fortress of technology and companies. Can they accelerate the integration? Can they accelerate single pricing? Can they accelerate a unified, operationally efficient experience? I don't know. But Modern Retailing Simplify on March 17th, we're going to be talking about all things. We're going to have Chip Perry talking about single point selling. We're going to be talking with Rusty West from MarketScan about the power of data and what his data is doing to power accurate pricing. We'll talk to him about how can we have digital retailing if dealers can't show a selling price. We're going to be talking about training. We're going to be talking about a modern sales process. We're going to be talking about measurement and tracking of engagement in Google Analytics. We're going to talk about website redesign. And then the leaders in digital retailing will be speaking. We have Cox and their keynote about their vision for modern retailing, Dealer Inspire, their vision for modern retailing. I mentioned Gabagoo and their vision, and Asbury is one of their key clients. CarNow, their vision with their key client, enterprise car sales. The biggest and best will be there on March 17th, and that's why you need to be here. One last thing. Some people have been emailing me and talking to me and say, Brian, I want this class, or I'm going to be in meetings. Can I get access to the recordings? And here's very simple. Everyone who buys a ticket, you'll be able to go back and watch any of the sessions for 30 days after the event. So from March 17th to April 17th, you can go in as many times. You can bring it up in the conference room, play these workshops, panels, and keynotes with your dealership team. This is a master class in modern retailing in the automotive industry for $97. And if you buy your ticket just today, and send on your confirmation with a second person, we'll give you a second ticket. Now, how do you buy a ticket? Very simple. You go to brianpash.com and click on events, and you'll see modern retailing. Tickets are $97. And if you buy your ticket today, then you'll send an email, dawn.pash@pcgcompanies.com, and say, Dawn, Brian told me I can get a ticket for one of my colleagues if I buy a ticket today. If you buy a ticket tomorrow, no deal. It's only for today. Glenn, was there any other comments or questions? I want to open it up now for anybody. I'm not sure what time we're at from a time.
You are at 12:52.
Whoa, I have that innate timer.
There you go. Let's see. Alan Crutch basically says website should be, do you have it? How much is it? How do I buy it? Very simple.
But
Jason Monahan says
retailing software is doing, right? Alan hit it right on the head. Digital retailing tools really can put dealers' inventory at any place at any time and allow them to transact at any place and any time. Ooh, boy, maybe what we call a website will change. Go ahead, Glenn.
Jason Monahan says, what's keeping the CRM companies from updating how they do it? I mean, now DriveCentric, people are saying a new player in the market, has come in and built, as one dealer told me, he says, I use this. This is now my communication hub because I can text out of it, video. I don't have to, as you said, a video product. I have to hope it integrates. I can see everything. And now with their live rooms where they can basically FaceTime or bring people in, very similar to what we're doing right here. And I can do F&I presentations, do the menu to close deals. So they've rethought, that. But to his point, what do you think? Do you think it's just the fact that they don't have to? Is that why?
No, I think it's more complicated. Let me go back to my previous statement, because I'm not picking on anybody, but I have a great relationship with the dealer.com team, the Cox team. When Cox Digital Retailing came out, if somebody went into the tool and calculated a deal, it would send the lead into Vin Solutions. If the customer went back the next day and did it again, it would come in as a different lead. It took a few years for the deduping to get fixed. There's 100 things on the development list, because when you have legacy software, things break, things need to be upgraded, you're moving servers. There are things that legacy software have to deal with, even how the software was programmed. So why do software programs eventually reach certain, some level? If it's not the company's core competency, sometimes products are bought and then put on the shelf and just maintained. eLead is amazing CRM, and Judy and Hugh sold that to CDK. And I know that code base was very strong. And in fact, CDK said, we really love their whole development methodology. That was a real positive. That wasn't like, boy, this software has a lot of hair on it. Okay. I haven't talked to the eLead team over at CDK in over a year, so I don't know what their development cycle is. But again, I try to invite the different vendor community people to keep me in the loop so I can be an advocate for the best solutions out there. But sometimes it's just legacy software is just one product in an overall portfolio, and sometimes products just get put on maintenance mode.
That
Any
seems
other
to
questions?
be that seems to be all of the comments and or questions.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending this Lunch and Learn. We like to keep them 1 hour. And of course, Glenn, thank you for your help. You're going to be moderating panels and doing workshops on Monday. And I encourage you to look at the agenda. Remember, if you can't make it or you only can attend a few sessions, you can watch every single session with your dealership team by buying a ticket, because you'll have 30 days to replay those videos. It is a masterclass on modern retailing. The best of the best will be there. Look at all the sponsors.
And you'll be able to get your questions answered. The other point of this, just as you're doing right here, every single workshop, every single panel has a section where or part of the time frame where you'll be able to ask questions, because we have designed the event. We want you to get tactical strategies, tactical advice, get your questions answered from the experts so you can take it back to your dealership and implement these strategies. So don't think this is a one-sided conversation. You'll all be there, have access to all of the speakers as well. So please don't hesitate, type your questions in, be a little selfish, get your questions answered.
I like that. Okay, everyone. Thanks so much for Lunch and Learn. Remember, brianpash.com. You can see all the events. And then just keep in mind, July, we are going to have the 12th annual Digital Marketing Strategies Conference in the beautiful Napa Valley. So make sure you get your team registered. It will be our first hybrid, which means live attendance and live streaming. So it should be an awesome time. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to travel and meet face-to-face with automotive colleagues. So digitalmarketingstrategies.org, that's the website. Mark your calendar for the July dates to be out in Napa Valley and be amongst the best of the best and the most innovative digital marketing companies that are helping dealers sell more cars in the digital age. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time on an
See you all next time.
Learn.
See you. Bye.
And we're just going to find my mouse and hit, and thanks, guys.